You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith. Johnson.
The AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California. Presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's Bates Motel After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Bates Motel After Show.
I was reading this. Hit and run! Just like...
What happened on the episode.
Exactly.
It was a hit and run.
Hit and run.
I don't know, hit and run usually means it's an accident. This was not an accident.
Oh, Dylan got hit, and the bad guys ran.
Okay, I'll give you that.
All right.
Okay.
Welcome to the Bates Motel AFTERBUZZ After Show. That is the lovely Paul Abdul singing Straight Up.
That's where your music
Nando
choices.
insisted on playing this song, and I was like, Nando, Paul Abdul.
Your music
so
choices.
80s.
Oh boy.
I'm joined as always by Nando Velasquez.
Hello everybody, how you doing? Thanks for joining us and listening to Joe's music selection.
Yes.
Joe's a Dick Clark of the 1980s generation.
We really had to convince him not to do Celine Dion.
Exactly. That's Steve Lemieux, and he's right. I love Celine Dion, unapologetically, and unironically, but it's fine. We're not joined by Joe Sanfelippo, who also loves Celine Dion. Believe it or not.
That's the worst thing we could say about him right now.
But we are maybe on the phone.
We're
Not
about
yet.
to be.
We will be joined by the lovely Du'a Kaissi on the phone. We'll get her on the phone.
She was not
shortly.
able to join us today, but we are calling her.
Yes.
Via satellite.
To talk about Bates Motel.
With technology today.
Yeah, great one, man. I loved it.
I loved it. People having sex and having fun and people getting beaten up. And,
Hi,
yeah.
Du'a. You're on the line with AfterBuzz TV.
Hey, what's up?
Hi, Du'a Kaissi.
Hello, Du'a.
We're mid show.
Hi.
We just started. We're just talking about all the teenagers having sex this episode, and people getting into fights and car accidents and all sorts of stuff.
And
nice.
Nando insisted we open with Paul Abdul Hit and Run.
Oh boy, yeah.
So
I really did insist on that.
To talk about our boy Dylan. So, well, Du'a, since we're here, what did you think of this episode? Give me your flash impressions.
I loved it. I like that you guys got right into the sex, by the way, that you didn't waste any time.
That's us guys. That's what we do. No foreplay.
Yeah.
Just right into the sex.
Well,
Speak for yourself.
I liked that it had a lot of different tones. I liked that it started, I liked Dylan's whole line was it was very, very intense. I liked that Norma was happy this episode, and she had a mission, and she's really excited, and she's there's light at the end of the tunnel about this whole bypass situation.
Yep.
I just to touch on one thing really quick, I thought it was hilarious that she tripped going down that pier to the boat.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
To just kind of let you know that it's not all together still.
She's still out of place.
It was very
She's
slapstick too. It was very sort of a slapsticky move. Very screwball comedy move.
A very cute way to show her that she was out of her league.
Yeah,
and
she's
then,
still a fish out of water.
Yeah, and then I like that Norman's getting some. I think that's good for him. And I like that Emma's getting some too. I think that's
everyone's getting some there. Yeah, it seems
if
like.
we can just get Nando some.
This beard's working. Seriously, it's working.
Beard.
And once again, Dylan's loyalty, I think is what we'll call it, kind of comes into play.
Yes.
Too.
Very
which
much
kind
so.
of is how we ended the episode.
Yeah, I did like. I wrote that. For Norman, for such a awkward, shy, crazy kid, he had a pretty good run in this town so far with the ladies.
Yeah.
He's doing all right for himself.
This is the first time we've mentioned that.
He's scoring pretty good. Bradley and yeah, Cody's I think pretty hot.
Cody's great.
Cody's great. She's a
Bradley's
nice little
nice
rebellious girl.
Do I detect some jealousy, gentlemen?
I mean, if Norman can, maybe I should be crazy.
You want to move over to White Pine Oaks?
Yes.
You want to move over there? See if Norman could get some action. I should move over there and I can get some action.
No.
Hello, Oregon.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. I think it's interesting that Norman is sort of, I mean, we see the young Norman Bates, and he does have. I guess I always thought when I think of the Norman Bates as played by Anthony Perkins, I always thought of him as a guy who really didn't have much luck with the ladies and was kind of, a frustrated loner. And we see now, in his young days, he did all right for himself.
Yeah,
good for him. I did also. We did get a lot of good Norma in this episode as well. I love. In the beginning of this episode, we had. My impressions. I love the episode as usual. Again, lots to talk about, lots of layers. I love the multiple storylines that we have, and we keep getting more and more, into these different possible storylines. For instance, the whole Nick and Norma thing is beyond fascinating. Now we have Sheriff Romero out of his house living in the Bates Motel.
That's pretty awesome that we saw it torture. We didn't even think about that. Where is he going to live now? Why not live under the Bates Motel?
Exactly, the perfect place to live.
I thought that was ingenious, and I think it opens the door for so many fun little interactions. I love their dynamic right now.
Yes.
And I love their almost like bickering back and forth, their little this banter that they have. It's really fun, and I thought it brought light to a lot of the scenes.
Well, and a little flirty. I mean, I think that towards the end there when she sort of made him come upstairs, I feel like that there's a little moment there where, there might be a little, that's the story that I'm looking forward to. That I will ask. We can ask Nestor Carbonell himself because he'll be in studio with us next week.
Next week.
Awesome.
Looking forward to that.
Sheriff Romero himself will be right here in studio.
He's such an awesome guy.
He's an awesome guy.
Oh, yeah.
And so we're looking forward to asking him all those questions, like is he going to get it on with Norma or not? And what is his role here in this creepy
on the
family.
island.
I'm sure he'll tell us everything. He'll just spill it.
Don't ask him any lost questions.
Yeah, that's why I said I said island. I snuck that in there. Thank you for catching that to it.
Yes.
And whatever you do, don't ask him about the eyeliner. I'm sure that he's so sick of that question.
Yes.
Wouldn't you think?
Well, we will. That would never.
We'll ask him if he's sick of the question. Instead of asking him the question, we'll say, "Are you sick of that question?" By the way.
Well, how about we wait till next week when he's here, and this week we talk.
Let's just talk about everything next week.
It's a great episode. A lot of Norma stuff. You have Nick and Norma. We have Sheriff Romero and Norma. We have the Sheriff Romero and Zane. We have
and also Norma and Cody.
Norma and Cody.
That was a fun interaction.
Which is very we pretty much know, with the exception of Emma. When there's a woman involved or a young lady involved, Norma's not down with it. Whoever this woman is, Norma doesn't think that she's any good for Norma.
Well, and on the other hand, Norma having that conversation, the birds and the bees, a little bit with Emma.
And someone on Twitter said that, it really brings out. Emma always brings out the best in Norma. Norma really likes that Emma. It's a weird thing. She always sort of. I mean, she works at the Bates Motel, but she really has taken her under her wing. And that was a very tender moment.
If this was probably any other normal family, you could probably see the mother pushing the good girl that she's friends with to her son. Like, you guys should get together. You guys should be like that.
Well, I think that happened early on, but it was rejected by Norman.
Yeah, I guess a little bit rejected by him. Yeah.
And it's so funny because I think the only way that Norma would ever tolerate a woman in Norman's life is because it would be somebody like Emma, who she knows doesn't have a long shelf life. So Emma's really the only person that Norma would ever really kind of approve for Norman, even though that's always, kind of an out of the question, situation. But I just think that's a little bit funny. Did you see the way that Norma reacted when Emma asked her about sex in her first time?
Oh, yeah.
I love her subtleties because you immediately knew that she went back to, the time with her brother. And it was such a small reaction from her.
Allegedly.
You knew exactly what she was thinking.
Allegedly. We're not
Yeah.
sure.
We're not sure if exactly.
According to Caleb, that didn't happen. So this is according to Norma. So I don't know. We'll see about that. So let's get into this. So we opened, of course, where we left off last week, which is Norman in a trance, and Cody with Norman, and we saw sort of Norman, snap out of it, and Cody with him. I for a moment there, I was wondering about Cody's motives there. And even when she talked about how she had to go by the house, she figured out money, she didn't want to go by the house. I was like, is Cody playing Norman? Do you think that Cody's gonna up it up, Du'a, or do you think that Cody is another shoe will drop with her?
I think no. I think that she legitimately just had forgotten the money, and after the whole altercation with her dad, she was just in a small little self-destructive escapist phase. She got a little inside look at Norman at the last at the end of last episode. So I think that now Norman gets a little inside look at her, and so it was just a kind of a time for her to open up and bond and share. And I think she's really lacking that, and she really, Norman is vulnerable and easy to talk to, and easily controlled, and kind of just I just think that she needed a friend in that moment, and I think that that's what that was about.
Sure. Nando, do you think she's on the up and up, or do you think there's something more sinister back there?
I like her. I like that girl. I have a crush on her. Okay. So I'll just say that much. All right. So yes, anything she does is fine by me. Okay. I love the treehouse and bringing them up, and yeah, that was just awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Is that
fair
good?
Enough. Yeah.
Fair enough?
I like he was so awkward climbing up that treehouse. Never broke character once.
Yeah.
No, he was great.
And it seemed like it was no stunt people doing that. They were They had some pretty good rope climbing skills.
But once he got up there, he was very much like, "Whoa, that was awesome!"
Yeah.
Like he was very much excited.
That was probably the most physical activity he had done in a while. That he was very, very out of his element there.
He actually cracked it. He was really sort of relaxed. And he had a beer. He cracked a joke, and he sort of broke the ice with a joke about Norma, which is like, let's just get out of here. Let's just keep driving. He's like, well, my mom would have an Amber Alert out at us in 30 seconds. I'm like, oh, Norman's got jokes. That was kind of a funny joke.
Yeah.
For Norman. So yeah, so we now know that Cody knows Norman's secret.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't know how bad he gets or what that means when he does, goes into
how
places.
extreme he can get. Yes.
He did say, as he's never really confided in anyone, that this happens to me. This is something that happens to me. So I think that probably will play a role down the road because obviously he has very strong feelings for Cody. Obviously Cody knows all the secrets. I don't think Cody's gonna make it one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
I think everyone's. I keep saying that every week. Everyone's gonna die, but go ahead, Du'a.
Do you think is Cody the only person that knows about this? Emma doesn't know, right? There wasn't anything last season.
That I don't. And correct me if I'm wrong, internet. But Emma doesn't know. I think it's just Dylan and Norma and Cody, right?
I think that's about
Cody. And now Norma doesn't know that Cody knows, so this is kind of a big deal.
Yeah, it's a big deal. It's a big deal for him to tell her. Like this is very moment, a very tender moment when he was able to.
Well,
do that.
also just because of what Norma feels those blackouts lead to, and the less people that know, the better.
Right.
Because there still is some questions as to. Well, I guess they found out. Did they find out who killed Miss Watson yet, technically, or are they still on the hunt for that, or they just assume it's a family thing?
I think they framed another guy for Miss Watson's murder, but the actual real killer is not.
Okay, but yeah, as far as like Romero, nobody's really pursuing that anymore. They just assume they already figured it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So at least there's that. But Norma still doesn't want anyone knowing about the blackouts because obviously the less people that know, the more control she has over it.
So and so we get back. So we also see that that Dylan has moved out. Norma comes downstairs and Norma's just trying to be normal again and making some eggs and poor Norma's like, where's Dylan? Because he moved out. And it's like, what? And her quote is like, he moved out, he's not gonna live it anymore. What kind of toast do you want, sweetie?
Yeah.
It's very
such an awesome family, just keeping everybody updated.
We'll never see him again. What kind of toast do you want? He's bad. Those are the normal moments that I love, but that was, and then Norman's reaction was sort of like shocked, and then of course he does his thing where it's like, okay, well if you say so, mother, this is very normal, and he does this really cool thing too, where when it's the two of them and Norma's telling him something that's shocking, and it's she's sort of letting him know how it is, and he may disagree or not, think she's in the wrong or whatever it is, he never really takes that. He never goes against his mother with other people. So when he talks to Emma, and Emma's like, "What happened to Dylan?" He's like, "It just happens. It happens sometime. Like leave him alone. Leave us alone. We're family." In other words, saying like, "I don't know. My mom said, my mom's crazy." Like he'll never do that. Yeah. Which is something that I find interesting. I don't know.
And it's funny how Emma she's ever the investigator. She's like, well, what could have happened that's so bad that's not fixable?
Right.
Like she will always pry, and she always asks the very important and relevant questions.
Sure. And again, and that's great. Like it's not computing to Emma. It's like, okay, wait, what? It's he's gone. This is your brother. Like, what's not fixable? It's like, I don't know. It happens. We're family. I don't know. Get out of here. No, poor Norman.
Don't question it.
Yeah, don't question it. I don't know. Whatever. So yeah. So then, but Emma has really got more better things on her mind. She's got some other things in her mind, as we alluded to, because she's trying to figure out what's going to happen with her boy Double Puka Shells down the hall, down in room number 7.
Gunner.
Yes. And Gunner, I don't trust anyone. I thought Gunner was going to be kind of an a-hole or kind of a bad guy, and he seems to be all right. Seems to be just a sweet kid who
Just likes to sell weed.
He just wants to get his own weed business.
Yeah.
And make a way for himself. And he
It's
seems
American dream right there. That's all it is.
Hey, nobody's perfect.
Right.
That's the brilliance of the show, though, is that you never know who's going to be good and who's going to be bad. And I think that keeping those questions lingering for everybody keeps it so exciting to watch.
You know who's bad? Zane.
Yeah.
There's no question that Zane's bad. But yes, I don't know. Like, I was really surprised how sweet Gunner is, because Gunner came off as this sort of like, at least to me initially, as this sort of like, douchey dude, but maybe it was just the puka shells. But like, he was he's sweet to her, right?
Yeah, he's pretty nice to her.
Yeah,
I'd
the whole
say.
time. So I don't.
He's what she needs right now.
Where do you think this thing's going, Nando?
Well, I think it's going to continue for sure. I mean, look, based on what we've seen so far, it doesn't seem like anything could go wrong. But of course, this is Bates Motel, so I'm sure there's going to be something that's going to come up that's going to separate the two of them. She also has loosened up a lot more from season 1. I mean, you see the way she doesn't hold herself as sickly as she did in season 1. I made reference to this last week. She did it again this episode. She's just carrying her cart, her air tank, like it's nothing. Yeah. She's not even dragging the wheels on the floor anymore. She's just like whipping it around. She might as well just do little lassos with it, the way she's acting. And based on last week, she was willing to make bad decisions. She's definitely a lot more open-minded than that first interaction with Gunner, when she was a little bit appalled and looking down on him for giving her a brownie and for getting involved in the business.
Now she's like, live a little.
Yeah, which is kind of awesome. It's nice to see Emma like this.
Do you think there will be another shoe to drop with Gunner? Do you think he's at the up and up?
Yeah. No, I think that he is who he is. I think that he serves his purpose as kind of like Emma's, first time, her love interest. I just don't, right now, I don't see like a storyline with him really getting kind of too into anything. I just think he strictly serves for subplot right now. That's all I see him as, honestly. I think it would be fun to like twist him in, and I would love to be surprised and shocked. But I think that's exactly what it is. He's here for the summer, and that's it. She's not going to marry him. He's going to, probably will inevitably break her heart, and then Norman will be there for her.
I find that hard to believe, in that I just feel like the show is so tightly written and so well constructed. It reminds me of Breaking Bad, in that, like, there's no, if you see something and if something happens, there will be that loose end will come back around and usually be tied up. There's very little just like atmospheric sort of story. So if Gunner's there hanging out in the hotel room and taking her virginity, I feel like that's a story. That's a major plot point. That's something that is very, obviously, special to Emma. And I don't know. I feel like those are, and same with Cody. I think these are major events, and for both of them to have this moment in the same episode, I just feel like this is going to turn in some way. I just don't know what. So that's my thought. Who knows?
Interesting. I would love to be wrong. That would be an exciting story.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I mean, I don't know what the story is, but I just feel like in this world, nothing is things don't happen for no reason, right? Everything we see is coming back to something, so we'll see how that works out.
Like you find out that he's actually the son of somebody really important.
Yeah, who knows? He's Nick's son. We find out. Who knows? Speaking of Nick and the overpass, Norma goes and pulls out the old card and gives good old Nick a call, and Nick is expecting her call. Which was, which got me thinking, like, was his presence there? Was his presence there? We talked about this a little last week or the week before about, again, maybe how this friendship with what's the friend's name who had the party?
I want to say Catherine. Is it or Christine? I can't
Christina?
remember. I think it's Christina.
Du'a?
I think it's I think it's Christina.
I think it's Christina.
This friendship, was that legit, or was this part of a larger setup? And this also feels like this may be a larger setup for whatever reason. It was to sort of funnel Norma right to Nick, who just happened to be there, who just happens to oppose the overpass as well. And he's like, I was waiting for your call, and that was very interesting. And so she got to go to this very cool yacht or boat where he has a very lovely assistant slash, I don't know what she was, assistant slash something. And he pulled out a nice bottle of a Chabouillet Montreuil.
Nice. I believe that's right, yeah.
Very classy.
I loved her reaction. That was a brilliant reaction when she drank that wine.
Yeah.
She was just so blown away by how good it was.
It's like, this is not the box. This is not. This is not a box.
This isn't boxed wine.
Did you notice on the left side of the screen when she walks up to the yacht? Did you notice how much smaller all the other boats were?
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
all the other boats were so small, and his was literally probably about 5 times larger than any other boat around.
Yeah, that was very much like that. I wrote, like, who is this guy? Just the big giant boat. And he's like, please, the yacht. Like, thank you for letting me on your yacht. It's like, please, it's a boat.
Yeah.
Shane, can I get a bottle of Montreux? Like, wait, what?
Montreux,
Yeah.
I don't know. Montreux Fufu?
Chabouillet Montreux.
Oui.
Can I get a bottle of really expensive wine, please?
Yes. So that was kind of a cool look. And so they had the wine, and he basically assured her that, he's on her side. He's got to keep a low profile, but he needs her to be front and center on this whole thing, and he's going to back her. And she, very naively, Norma's no dummy, but she very much does not. This is where she's in survival mode, right? She wants to keep the overpass from existing at all costs. She maybe instinctively feels that something's not quite right, but at the same time, she's so overwhelmed with like, well, I'm finally winning one. Like, old Norma's gonna win one this time.
Yeah.
Everything's going my way for once, and she's kind of blind to the fact that this may or may not be cool.
That she might be used. Yes, exactly.
Well, it's interesting because Nick, when I mentioned a few episodes ago how I thought that they were going to use her as a pawn, Nick very much openly mentions on the boat that he kind of is going to use her as a pawn. I can't in my position oppose this, but you can. I kind of want you to do this for both of us. And I think that since this also feeds Norma's interest, she's willing to overlook anything else or what necessarily she's getting into. All she sees is that she's getting what she wants in this moment.
Right.
And like very much in that childlike way, she can't really see the bigger picture. Well, why can't you oppose this? Who are you going to, who are you? You've got this big boat. She's just in awe by all this, smoke and mirrors and all of this big boat, great wine. She's not asking any questions.
Yes, and it's not so much that, well, we'll see whether or not she's a pawn or whether she's a patsy or a fall guy, because we see what happened to at the end. We see what happened to I don't have his name, the councilman who her main
Berman
opposition
was his last name.
Lee Daniels,
the butler.
The butler.
Lee Daniels presents Bates Motel. No, yeah. So we'll see. I mean, maybe she's there to be the fall guy, but we'll get back to that in a second. But I do. Even after she left the boat, and she seems very happy, and she went to go see our good friend Brian Fuller. Brian Fuller made an appearance.
Brian
on the show.
Fuller, I know, I like that.
The showrunner of Hannibal, Brian Fuller, made an appearance on the Bates Motel. No, the character's name was Brian Fuller, but he's the biologist who has prepared all this wonderful research for her to give to the city council.
Yes.
And again, she's like, "Well, great, I'm gonna win." And she very smugly went in there and like, and give this to so and so.
Yeah.
And tell him I said hi, which is also a cool moment until he ended up dead.
You know what else they should tell him?
Yes.
Tell him to go to iTunes.
Oh, they should. They should tell them to go to iTunes. Thanks, Steve Lemieux. They should tell them to go to iTunes, because that's where you can download episodes of this podcast and all the other wonderful podcasts in AfterBuzz. But if you're listening on iTunes, thank you very much for downloading this and rating us and listening to us right now. And if you're on YouTube, thanks for watching us, and thanks for commenting, and thanks for everything you do there at YouTube. Right, Nando?
Yes, absolutely, because we love fives.
That's right.
On iTunes, and then YouTube, just comment.
Okay.
We just hit 6,000 shows published today.
Oh,
Really?
6,000 shows.
That is
Wow.
awesome.
That's so. Thank you for that, folks who are listening. With 6,000 shows published, wow, that's nice. That's a big number.
That is a big number.
Makes me just want to go take my car and hit somebody.
Yes, exactly.
Hey, it's Paul Abdul. The music speaks to me.
Okay, yeah.
Well, speaking of which, so we get this. We get Zane, who I think Zane looks like a young Patrick Swayze to me. I saw him, I'm like, whoa, he's like a. I mean,
I can see that a little bit.
I saw a couple. I'm like, oh, Zane's kind of got like that. Well, he's got some Swayze in him.
You scare me more and more each day, though.
What, me?
Yeah.
Zane got his ass kicked to this episode.
Yeah.
He
Yes.
did. Zane got his ass kicked, and Romero. We can see Romero be the badass that we know he is, with a very nice right hand. Zane, he is very surprised, and Zane jumped, and basically just got his ass kicked. Right? Got his gun taken.
Oh yeah.
Caught a beat down, and I think he got one punch in. Right? He got one punch.
Yeah,
He
he
got
got one
one.
good punch in.
You got to back him up a
Lost
little
his
bit.
gun.
Yes, but Romero threatened him like, I'm gonna bury you and your business. So every time he told you can't rest.
Yeah.
That was dope. I love that scene. But we also love how Norma very much was like, well, they mess with you. You're a badass. They can't mess with you. I'd be so afraid what you would do to them. What are you gonna do? Like she's such a weird instigator, but that's like some of the teenage Norma coming out.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know. What did you think of that whole situation, Du'a?
Well, I'm going to keep close to what I said last week, in that I definitely think that what he's going to bring down on them is something that's going to be well calculated, and he's going to really plot. But I think that, just as Norma said, sometimes you just need to kick some ass, and I think that he was so angry after what happened. Like, all of his stuff is gone. He has no clothes. He's got that one outfit to wear.
Right.
And now, he just wanted to kick somebody's ass. But I think that when he does finally kind of bring the heat down on Zane and his whole organization, it's not going to be as hasty. It's going to be really, really well thought out, and it's going to, it's going to be huge.
Yeah.
So this was just to let off some steam. And yeah, I think that is exactly what it did.
And Norma, it's like, it feels good to wail on someone, just a cool thing to say. So that was that, and then he comes back after that, and then as we talked about, we had that moment, in the thing where she's washing his clothes, and she's like, should have makes him come upstairs, and I don't know, sparks there with Romero and Norma.
I could see it happening. I think it's right now. It's just still a lot of funny interactions with him.
Sure.
He's obviously it's kind of moved into her house in a way, the way she's acting.
Yeah.
Tidying him up and taking care of things.
She did his laundry.
I know.
Yeah.
How crazy is that?
Well, Du'a, you're a woman. Tell me.
I definitely think that there are going to be some sparks. I mean, Romero's in a really vulnerable position. I was actually it was one of my predictions that there's something going to he's in a really vulnerable position right now. He's single, and he's working all day, and now he comes home. And when he comes home now to the hotel, she's there. So it's only a matter of episodes before, she's like, why don't you come inside for something to eat? Why don't you do this? And, I definitely see the energy between them. And there's something between them, and I think that would be a fun way to go.
Yeah.
Right.
And just think if anything happens at the hotel, he's also there, too, as kind of a protector.
I mean, he doesn't have a house.
So,
It took him a long time to rebuild a house. Got a lot of space in that Bates Motel. A lot of space in the house.
He made her smile.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or she made him smile, rather.
Yeah. That's a
big deal.
Yeah. That was a nice Nestor smile. So Zane comes back, and he reports back to not reports back, but comes back and has that conversation with Dylan, and didn't seem very bothered by the fact that he got his ass kicked by Romero. I was like, yeah, well, I did burn down the dude's house. I mean, it's worth it,
I have a question.
Yes.
What he came back to the lunch. What was up with that whole asking? Like, for a second, I thought that Remo was going to get killed today, because when he asked Dylan to lunch but didn't invite Remo, like, what was that about?
I thought that for half a second too, but I think it was just more of a lieutenant, like Dylan is Remo's boss, so it's sort of like it's like grown men are going to have a conversation now. The adults are going to talk over here. You stay there and take care of the weed. I think that's what it was. But I was with you. I thought like, oh, was he really It's like when he's like, "I'll bring you some back. I'll bring you some food back."
I think it also just shows that Remo's been talking a lot of smack about Zane. So I think maybe it's Zane's way of saying, "Yeah, I know who I can trust from you two guys. I know who's a little bit more trainable, who I can definitely put under my wing." So so far based on what happened at the when they were leaving the restaurant.
Well, it also opens the door for now that Remo wasn't there. I mean, who made that call?
That's true too.
Like, how do they know? How do they know they're at the Mexican restaurant?
Yeah, I didn't think about it that way.
So I mean, so someone had to say, "Oh, I know exactly where they are. They're at the Mexican restaurant." That makes sense that it's Remo. So go find them there. And I mean, the mysterious Mustang's not going to be cruising up and down the streets hoping to find Zane with the guns ready. They knew where to find him.
But Remo, I love that thought, but Remo's also a small guy on the totem pole. Do you really think, he hasn't gotten anywhere in the years that he's been in this business, and that's because he doesn't make those calls.
Yeah, but he doesn't
have the balls to do that.
But he also sees that Zane is in control. He's smart enough to sort of stay out of the way. But I'll see if Zane's in control. Zane's putting everyone in danger, the whole operation in danger. He's been very vocal about Zane's recklessness from day one. He's a smart. Maybe just say, you know what? Let's just get rid of Zane. Let me tell the guys where Zane is, or maybe he's going to make a move to the other side and get promoted. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. For a second, I feel like it couldn't be. I don't feel like something like that would be Sheriff Romero, although I think they're trying to pass it along to make him think that it could be.
Yeah, well, I don't know that Sheriff Romero, because I don't know that Sheriff Romero would run down Dylan. Which, by the way, I mean, I'm a big action star guy, but that move, that weird, that's total Danny Glover lethal weapon move.
Oh, just coming out?
To walk in the middle of the street, then point the gun and, crick his neck and just start shooting. There's a giant Mustang with 2 automatic weapons barreling down on you. You're just gonna stand in the street like Dirty Harry.
Yeah.
And just start firing off shots.
That was a little preposterous.
That was very.
The only reason that I actually bought that, and the only reason that I actually didn't think that was over the top, is because I think that it goes side to side with where Dylan is right now. Mm-hmm. Dylan has just gotten a huge piece of information about his life.
Sure. And
is in a really shitty spot. He's just moved out of his place. He's trying to call his brother. His brother's not answering the phone. Right now, he was probably like, fuck it. I don't care. If I die in this moment right now, I'm just going to tempt fate. And I think that's where I was like, okay, because Dylan's just so low and just so, he's just going to lead it, in
You mean
hands.
he was like, screw it.
Not
F it, right? Right, Du'a?
Yeah, he's like, yeah, if I'm going to, and in the same token, he really kind of showed, amazing loyalty to somebody who's absolutely nuts. You kind of want Zane on your side. You don't want him questioning your loyalty.
Right. So that makes sense. He went out there and he did his Dirty Harry move or his lethal weapon move or any other 80s reference that I can mention that dates me, and gets hit. Gets hit and rolled over.
Gets hit big time, yeah.
And so he's in trouble. So we'll see what happens there. And then we know what happens there. He gets a visit from the boss.
Yeah.
The boss lady, the mysterious boss lady.
Very pretty, mysterious boss lady.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And so that was
cool.
Who
happens to be Zane's sister.
Yes.
Now we know why Zane is.
Now we know why Zane's so high up, even though he's a little crazy and a little
crazy.
He's a loose cannon, but we know why he's so high up there.
So I mean, this may be well for Dylan work wise. I mean, this could promote him right up the food chain. I mean, he could be Zane's boss after this. Who knows?
Yeah.
She sees how valuable he is. I want to go back to that before that. Dylan was trying to call Norman, and really trying to call him, which I thought was really nice. I mean, I don't know if it was sort of. I mean, Dylan was calling Norman, right? Is that right, Du'a?
Yep. Yeah. Didn't you hear the absolute Norman message? He was just like, "Hello there."
Hello there. It's Norman. I will call you back.
Yeah.
No. Hello there. It's Norman. I'll call you back. Yeah.
But Norman was getting late, I think, if I'm right with the timeline.
I believe you are. So Norman was a little busy. He was occupied.
I do love the final exchange, the final Norma exchange at the end, where the absolute super Norma moment where she's like, "Honey, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but stay away from that girl. I'm not going to tell you what to do. You're your own man, but you can never see her again."
Norma.
That
I love the blocking of that scene because she started at the bottom of the stairs, and as she slowly creeped up, I thought that she was going to smell the beer on his breath and like lose her mind. And she's like, "Have you been drinking beer?" Like that's what I was waiting for. As she got closer and closer, it seemed like he was being nervous.
Right.
But it never came.
No. Those scenes are always great between the two of them because they're played in so many different ways, there's some different layers, but and so much happening reaction wise. And I mean, you know, again, Freddie Highmore and Vera Farmiga. I'll be the Joe Sanfelippo. Vera Farmiga's amazing. That's it. I love her. I'm Joe Sanfelippo.
You love doing that.
He loves doing what, being Joe Sanfelippo?
He's doing it. Yeah, it's his Joe Sanfelippo impersonation. Actually, it was really good. Last night's was better when you did it last night.
I know.
Yeah, it's okay.
I'm Joe. Okay, anyway. So so we have that exchange. So and then I don't know. Then the final thing we see is that Romero comes and gives the news, and I thought he's going to give the news that you didn't hear. Dylan's in the hospital, but it was no, you didn't hear.
I was surprised about that too, that he didn't go for the Dylan comment. After all, it was a big shootout right on Main Street.
Right.
Right. And then instead he goes and he talks about the I guess what's his title? Assemblyman?
Yes.
Yeah.
We were doing bad
talks about that. That was just interesting.
So that's a big reveal because he did warn her once he mentioned these, you know, once he mentioned that she's talking to Nick. He's like, she's a drug dealer, and stay away from him, stay far away. And Norma's like, oh, okay, I'll do that. So now,
she's like, I wasn't doing anything. She got defensive like a teenager. She said, no, I wasn't. I was just asking if you knew him.
Yeah. So where is this going, Du'a? So this is my question earlier. Is Norma a patsy or a pawn, or is this sort of like part of the plan all along?
Well, I think that, I definitely think that she is, she's being used, but he wasn't really secretive about it or conniving about it. He was just pretty much saying, hey, you want this, I want this, I can't do this, go do this for me. So I like the fact that he's, I think, being honest. You know, it's really interesting. Out of all the bad guys in this show, is it Neil or Nick?
Nick.
It's Nick. Nick is my favorite one. He still has this, you know, he's sympathetic because you know that his daughter just died.
Yep.
He just seems like a nice guy, even though you know he's a bad guy, and I still feel like I don't know a lot about it.
Well, I don't know that they're bad guys or good guys, right? I mean, these are that we know that there's before this recent bloodshed. This is a town that these are businessmen. These are high-level businessmen. Now their business is weed, but there's no like Romero said, the rules are the rules. No one's killing each other. There's no real bloodshed until Zane went nuts, like, you know, because of what happened to Gil Turner, which was Bradley. You know, this has been pretty normal, except for what happened to Bradley's dad, which was separate. So I feel like that. I don't know that anyone's a bad guy per se, but this will be revealed. But I think they're just two businessmen. I think it's purposely ambiguous.
Joe.
Yeah.
Joe, are you kidding me right now, Joe?
Yes.
Joe.
No.
Who do you think killed this guy that just died in a car accident?
Oh, well, yeah, but that's but he's
not a bad guy.
Well, maybe. They're just doing what they're trying to do to run their business properly.
It's so funny how you're absolutely right in what you're saying, and it's like he's not really bad. But I'm just gonna off somebody that I know is like, of course he, you know, caused this car accident and caused this guy to go off the ravine because he's getting in the way of the bypass. Like he said before, he's gonna pull some strings when necessary. Right. But it's just he's doing it from his boat. It doesn't seem bad, but he's definitely a bad guy.
Okay.
At least I think so.
I'm not saying he's a good guy. I'm just not saying he's a supervillain. And we don't know what because if he's a bad guy, then Dylan's got to be a bad guy. You know, and if maybe Sheriff Romero's a bad guy because Sheriff Romero's complicit in this whole thing. My point is it's a very gray town. Or green town with weed and money. What?
Oh boy. Okay. I kind of agree with you there.
Okay. Well, internet can tell me that I'm wrong again, but I think that I just think that it's more ambiguous than.
I just think it's funny how I just think like the realm of things that go on in this show, that somebody getting hit by a car is it's actually not that bad and can often be overlooked.
Exactly.
You're like, oh, he just got hit by a car. Like, that's not bad.
That's not bad. He's a good guy. He's a good, maybe not a good driver, but a good guy.
The death toll, by the way, since Norma showed up, I mean, there's been a lot of deaths in this town.
Yeah.
I mean, the Sheriff Romero's been involved with a lot of, like, you know, there's a lot of bodies from season 1 and season 2. Like, since the body count's higher than normal.
Yeah.
So I think I don't know if it just seems like Norma, this cloud is following Norma, whether she's involved in killing someone or Norman or, you know, it's someone around them is always, death seems to follow this family, which is interesting.
Yeah, I think the body count is actually like right around like 15 or 16 right now.
Wow, that's a lot for a small town.
I did a death toll count the episode that you weren't there, and I think it was 13 or 14 then. I'll look back into it.
Wow.
And a few people I think have died since then. So.
Jeez.
Yeah. This place is killing people off left and right.
Yeah.
I used to love the Pacific Northwest.
So you might get laid if you go there, but you also might get killed.
Yeah.
That's what you're trying to say.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah, that's what you're saying, Joe. Okay.
And if you're
I'll
lucky,
take my chances. I'll take my chances. No, I won't take my chances. That's all I really got. I don't know. Any? Do you want to go into some anything else? Du'a, you want to go into some news and gossip, or just some shout outs?
Why don't you do some shout outs first? I'm looking into some stuff right here.
Okay.
There's
Okay.
You've got some shout outs, Nando?
I do not, but Joe does.
I do. I will do Rainy J. Thank you for listening. She likes hot takes, or he likes hot takes and shots fired, or he or she, Rainy J. Luke Livermore, Robert Brashira, the Three Gaming Bros, BWJ 1986, Raven Shear 23, VG 123, Iffy 1, Kimalicious, Dr. Lee 2, Lounge Blogger, and Crimson King. Once again, thank you for listening, and thank you for commenting, and please continue to do so. Du'a, do you have anything?
I have. Well, there was a interview and just some talk if you go to zaptoit.com. I just wanted to mention something small about Michael O'Neill, who plays Nick on Bates Motel, and it's interesting because they're talking a little bit about, if you read how they're establishing pretty quickly in the season, and they don't want you to forget that most of he's very, very driven by the loss of his daughter, and he really wants closure on that. So I think that might be something that for us to all think about when we're kind of wondering what his motivation for the bypass is. Like, where is that kind of going in, and how would that maybe, if his full motivation for this season is getting revenge and closure on the loss of his daughter, and maybe he doesn't think that he has that. So that kind of opens a door. But yeah, if you want to read that full interview, you can go to zaptoit.com.
Awesome. Let's jump into some predictions.
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Du'a Kaissi, what do you have?
So my main prediction was that I think that Norma and Sheriff Romero were going to get it on.
Okay.
But then I have a kind of out there prediction that I just thought about, and I'm going to put it out there because if I don't say it and then it happens, I'm going to be really upset.
Okay.
I think that something is going to happen with Cody's dad and Cody. And I think that Norman is going to end up blacking out and killing Cody's dad. And Cody is actually going to be the first person to tell Norman what he did.
I like that. That's my prediction, actually, but go ahead.
I was thinking, I was going to say, not the second part of it, but I definitely was going to say that Norman will be the one to kill Cody's dad.
Yeah.
But I do like that.
We did see that moment of, Norman eavesdropping. It sounds very familiar, that eavesdroppy Norman, like, finding out, and he does care very much about Cody. So
they slept together,
He told him to stay in the car, and he didn't stay in the car immediately, and he was very curious.
I'm very curious as to how this Norma's, like, you can't see her, how that plays out. Like, Norman's gonna clearly defy her, and how that will play out, and and then bring him apart from Norma, but ultimately he'll come back to her. That's the dynamic. I'm interested to see how that plays out. I have no real prediction on that though, but I agree with your prediction, Du'a.
Good. Yeah, I kind of hope that happens.
All right.
But it's weird because it would go against our theme of thinking that maybe he only kills women.
Yeah.
Or like, I mean, obviously he doesn't only kill women.
We think
he's killed men before. But what drives him to black out?
What drives him to black out? Which is, there's some debate on that. We talked a little bit about that last week, but we'll soon find out. I imagine. Nando, where can we find you, sir?
You can find me on Twitter at Nandovel, Nandovel, and on a bunch of AfterBuzz shows.
Du'a, where can we find you, my dear?
You can find me on the Twitters, Du'a Kaissi, Duakaissi, or you can find me, here every Tuesday. It's Tuesday, right? Every Tuesday, whether in physical form or not.
Thank you for joining us, Du'a. Thank you for calling in. Appreciate it. You can find me, Joe Braswell, at Instagram and Twitter at Joe K. Braswell. You can find Joe Sanfelippo at Joe Flippo and at josephsanfelippo.com. That's all I got. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Steve Lemieux. Happy 6,000 shows to AfterBuzz, and we'll see you next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.